2018, Trump is outside of Paris at an American military cemetery, and he makes some disparaging remarks about the soldiers that died there. This guy is a psychopath and a scumbag. He's not a patriot. He's a phony and a fake and a fraud, and he makes me sick, okay? And I'm going to prove that to you here on Shadow Check. So this is an article from The Atlantic. It's titled Trump, Americans Who Died in War Are Losers and Suckers. Okay, this is an article from September 3rd, 2020. The president has repeatedly disparaged the intelligence of service members and asked that wounded veterans be kept out of military parades. Multiple sources tell The Atlantic. All right. Well, we had to call for some help. So who do you call when you're in trouble? Richard Ojeda. All right. So this is what he has to say.
Yesterday, is when we got the word that our president, thinks that those who have served this country in combat, those who have died, those who have been shot down, those who have been captured, are losers and suckers. And, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't surprise me one bit coming from Donald Trump. The mere fact that he's only went to Dover Air Force Base 4 times in almost 4 years, and really it was really just nothing more than a photo op. He doesn't care about those of us that have ever served this country or those that are currently in uniform. And it shows with these actions. Him and his entire family should be banned from Arlington National Cemetery or any national cemetery for that matter. He should never be allowed and asked to put a wreath out for anyone. He only does these things for photo ops. He doesn't care about our military. And it's time that people wake your asses up and realize that this guy is not for you. This guy is an absolute, he's the head of a criminal organization is all it is. Folks, it's time for us all to wake the fuck up. It's time for us to send this jackaloon packing.
Send this jackaloon packing. Well said, Richard. I love that guy. Okay. Richard Ojeda, actually Major Richard Ojeda, okay? 2 Bronze Stars. He served in Iraq and he served in Afghanistan, okay? That man right there is the real deal. And he knows a phony when he sees one, okay? Now, this really pissed me off, okay? Because I come from a family of Marines and it bothered me. So I'm on the mic and I'm telling you all about it. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear it, but I'm telling you all about it. So the cemetery is near an area outside of Paris. Like I said, it's called Belleau Wood. And it is a consequential battle that took place in American history. And the ground on which it was fought is venerated by the Marine Corps. America and its allies stopped the German advance towards Paris there in the spring of 1918. But Trump, on that same trip, asked aides, and this is a quote, who were the good guys in this war? Because this idiot doesn't even know history. He doesn't know anything about this country. If he doesn't profit from it, it don't mean nothing to him. He said he couldn't understand why the United States would intervene on the side of the Allies. Because my man doesn't know nothing. He's a blithering moron. And look at the state of the country. Look where we are because of this haphazard moron. You know? It's like Forrest Gump in the goddamn White House. Okay? But Forrest Gump, the multi-millionaire, you know, who was given $400 million by his dad. He called it a loan he never had to pay back. I have to pay back my loans. What about you? Also, I mean, you know, Trump goes on, if you remember, back in 2015, and he attacked John McCain. Now, I'm no fan of John McCain, okay, because he's on the right, and I'm not, all right? But I do respect the man and the service that he provided, okay? But Trump said, if you remember, I like people that don't get captured. This guy is such a coward. He's like a worm crawling on the ground. You can't get any lower than that dude. All right. He also disparaged, if I'm saying his name correctly, Humayun Khan. He was an army captain that died in Iraq. And remember, he said, insulting remarks to his parents. Okay. Not only that, but he attacked even George H.W. Bush, who, again, I was no fan of. All right. But the dude was shot down by the Japanese. Trump has no idea of what sacrifice means. He's not capable of it. All right. People call him a sociopath. He's not a sociopath. He's a psychopath. Okay. What's the difference, Steve? Psychopaths are born. Sociopaths are created. That's the difference. Okay. And this dude was born a psychopath. Psychopaths are not capable of empathy. Sociopaths are. They'll beat you to death, and then they'll feel bad about it. Not this dude. When lashing out at critics, Trump often reaches for illogical and corrosive insults. And members of the Bush family have publicly opposed him. Okay? This is the article again. But his cynicism about service and heroism extends even to the World War I dead buried outside Paris. People who were killed more than a quarter of a century before he was born. Trump finds the notion of military service difficult to understand, and the idea of volunteering to serve especially incomprehensible. The president didn't serve in the military. You know all that, right? He didn't serve in the military. He received a medical deferment from the draft during Vietnam, okay, because of the alleged presence of bone spurs. Now, I was a child during that time, and I remember that was going on. That was basically the major excuse, the most common excuse of rich kids, okay, because both my brothers served as Marines in Vietnam, one after the other, okay? And we went through that trauma, not knowing how they were going to come back or whether they were going to come back, but not this coward. All right? In the 1990s, Trump said his efforts to avoid contracting sexually transmitted diseases constituted his personal Vietnam. Now, that is one rich, spoiled, self-centered, arrogant jackass. John Kelly, okay, his chief of staff, took him over to Arlington Cemetery to visit Section 60. Section 60 are all the soldiers that died in the most recent wars. So he lost his son, Robert Kelly, in Afghanistan in 2010. And they were standing by the grave, him and Trump. And Trump said to Kelly, I don't get it. What's in it for them? That was his comment to John Kelly. Like the article goes on to say, he can't fathom the idea of doing something for someone other than himself. Okay? And that's a quote. One of Kelly's friends, a retired 4-star general, told me, he just thinks that everyone who does anything when there's no direct personal gain to be had is a sucker. There's no money in serving the nation. All right? This is what he believes. Kelly's friend went on to say, Trump can't imagine anyone else's pain. Like I said, he's a psychopath. That's why he would say this to the father of a fallen Marine on Memorial Day in the cemetery where he's buried. This is my message to the alt-right. A bunch of boogaloo sissies, okay, running around playing army, okay? The fake militia, because that's exactly what they are. This is your patriot president.